Hello and welcome to today's video where we will be looking at Odoo, ERPnext and NetSuite side by side to compare them price-wise, feature-wise, upgrade and total cost of ownership-wise, and the general feedback of a user and a consultant. Now let's have a look at these three systems from a customer's point of view. So first we're going to discuss the price. So the cheapest ERP out there is ERPnext with $50 per month with unlimited number of users, of companies and of features. Second place is Odoo, where it's around $13 per month per user, but then each user can have access to unlimited number of features of Odoo. So you get all the apps, all the features. And of course, if you need to, you can always purchase additional apps that you can install on Odoo from the Odoo partners. Now, NetSuite comes in third with more expensive prices, but of course, this will all depend on the requirement that you have. So if you are a multi-million dollar company or if you're a very small startup, then the prices are going to differ based on the products that NetSuite are going to propose to you, but they are going to be more expensive than the two other choices. Now let's have a look at the cost per user. So when you buy NetSuite, you're going to have to pay for not just a product license fee, but also for a per user per month fee. And NetSuite's per user per month fee is actually the most expensive one compared to ERPnext and Odoo. Now let's have a look at features. So the free ERPs offer extensive features to manage your basic operations, for example, order to cash, procure to pay, inventory, basic project management, basic manufacturing, basic reporting, and of course, some form of localization that you can adapt to your local gap. Now, NetSuite comes in first in terms of features because they've been there for longer, they've got customers across the world, so they went through all the hurdles of all the international taxes and accounting practices and policies and everything that all of these major countries where the customers are at require from them. So they built their ERP to actually answer to all of that. So of course they've got more features, but at the same time this could be problematic in terms of user adoption, because the more features you have, the more you can be lost into all this sea of features. Now, if we look at Odoo, I really enjoyed Odoo with the fact that they can let you test the ERP before you buy it. They even have a free version which can be installed on your computer. And the hosted version of Odoo is something that can be proposed to you for free for one feature. So for example, you can choose to manage your sales or your procurement or your accounting on Odoo for free. So I tried the accounting package and I really enjoyed the fact that Odoo provides OCR technology where you can just get your vendor's bill or take a picture of it, send it to Odoo, and then Odoo creates it automatically on the system without you having to do any input. You just have to confirm that the data is correct and your bill will be on the system within a few seconds. Now, NetSuite and ERPnext probably offer this OCR technology, but it will not be for free like Odoo does. So the chart of account on Odoo will be generated automatically on your country based on your country's gap. So if you're in Mauritius, like a small country outside of the top 5 countries in the world, usually ERPs will not provide you with localized chart of accounts. You're going to have to import the chart of account that you want and then basically take it from there. But with Odoo, if you're a startup or if you never had an ERP before, maybe you had someone else do the accounting for you, then Odoo will help you go faster in terms of chart of accounts. Now, ERPnext comes in third. I really enjoyed the features where on every page that you are, there's a little tutorial in order to ensure that everything's been done correctly. So really 3 great products in terms of features, but NetSuite wins with the depth of the features. Now let's talk about update management and frequency. Now, a true cloud platform usually doesn't require you to pay anything to update and upgrade the system or to host it. Now, the update management of NetSuite is the best one of the three. It's automatic. It doesn't require any stopping of your business activity, and it's done during the night, so your instance will always be on the latest version of the system. Whereas on ERPnext and Odoo, you can fall behind in terms of versioning, and if you want to update to a latest version, there is a small fee or expense to incur to be able to patch whatever you developed on the previous version to patch it to the new version. So there is a small risk of having to spend some time and some money on upgrading your system. That's why NetSuite comes in first, and second place goes both to ERPnext and Odoo. Now let's talk about the ease of use of these three systems. The way that Odoo's been set gets it to the first place, meaning it's so simple and easy to do your transactions that the learning curve is a matter of minutes. It's like going on Google and sending an email. You're not going to get a training to do it, so you could be operational really fast on Odoo. Now, ERPnext comes in second. It's not as simple as Odoo, but it's still not as complex as NetSuite. So the users can start working very easily, and the FAQ is providing a lot of expertise and of guideline on how to do things. Like I mentioned before, there is a little tutorial on every page to help you also get along the system better. So ERPnext comes in at second place, and NetSuite comes in at third place. You will find that the learning curve is a bit higher on NetSuite because the information that is required from the people using NetSuite are more than just a sales by item and customer. It goes much deeper than that. So of course, the deeper you go, the more data you have to set, and that makes NetSuite a bit more complicated and maybe aimed towards larger tiered companies. It's all related to the size of your company and what you're going to need from it. Now, let's talk about the ease of creating custom reports. So here I found that with NetSuite, you can create reports with drag and drop. You can go quite far with grouping, with highlighting, with even automation of reports being sent by email to specific people with specific email messages within them. Whereas ERPnext is a bit more complex to develop. You're going to need some experience in SQL queries, but of course that's a skill that a lot of developers have, but it's still a skill that you're going to need to acquire if you don't have it. And for Odoo, I found it the third most difficult system to develop reports on as soon as you move beyond the standard features of what Odoo provides. Now, this would be like, for example, learning Python or having developers who know about Python to be able to do things the way you would easily do on NetSuite. Now let's talk about the quality and the availability of customer support. Now, even though NetSuite has been there for longer and Odoo's got a great customer support team too, I see that depending on the region of the world that you're in, you're going to be in touch with different support teams. And the support teams will vary, the quality of the support teams will vary across regions. Now, why did I put ERPnext first here? Is because after the few emails that I sent or the few tickets that I raised with ERPnext, I even got to speak with the CEO and founder of ERPnext and talk to the founding members of ERPnext, which is really like a big welcome gift to anyone who's interested in an ERP, where you will find that the founders are interested. They're going to push you to the right people. Whereas with NetSuite and Odoo, they have traditional support team. It's more traditional support team that we get from NetSuite and Odoo. Now let's benchmark these three ERPs from a consulting firm's perspective. Now, as a consulting firm, what you want is that the software is not so easy to develop, because if it's so easy to develop, then people are not going to need you, unfortunately. Now, of course, the market is still very young on NetSuite, Odoo, and ERPnext, but what you want is some form of complexity where it's almost like rocket science to develop the software. So even though it's very cheap in terms of licenses, but people are going to be paying you in terms of service to develop it the way they want it. So in terms of developing new features, NetSuite is the easiest platform to use to build your own apps. And the apps are going to keep working regardless of the version of NetSuite. So in terms of security and peace of mind and recurring income for the licenses that you're going to sell, or maybe even the support, then NetSuite is the best option. But like I mentioned, if you prefer to have maybe less customers but with higher margins, then maybe Odoo and ERPnext are best choices here. Now, let's talk about the documentation and the tools available on these free platforms. So because ERPnext and Odoo have versions, sometimes things that were working before are not working anymore. So there's a lot of documentation too for these two platforms, but a lot of documentations are not meaningful anymore today. So whereas on NetSuite, anything that was written like 5, 10 years ago can still be used today. So if you're using AI to generate your codes or generate your reports, then you're going to find a better explanation and something that works every time with the NetSuite generated text. Okay, so it is actually easier as a developer to move forward on NetSuite. But at the same time, if the customer can do it themselves by getting someone fresh out of university and AI using NetSuite, then maybe the value of being a developer and an integrator is less on NetSuite than on Odoo and ERPnext, where you actually need people invested in these platforms to bring you the value that you need. Now let's talk about the competition and the number of partners for each ERP. So here NetSuite has the most partners across the world, and you will notice that these partners do not have a lot of customers. They prefer to have fewer customers but give good quality of service. Because obviously every customer has been customized and developed, and these partners are the only ones who know about the project. So this is why NetSuite maybe has more partners right now because they've been there for longer, and also basically they have less customers rather than having generic partners selling standard like vanilla ERPs, where you can have much more of them on different systems, like for example ERPnext and Odoo. You will find a lot of partners in Asia for ERPnext and a lot of partners in Europe, and it's now growing in Africa too for Odoo. So are you going to want to join in a very competitive partnership program on NetSuite, or are you going to want to choose an ERP where there are less available consultants to start selling and implementing the tool? That's a decision you're going to have to make. Now let's talk about the technical support for integrators. Now let's say you have a third-party application like a payroll system or a point of sales, a website, a mobile app. Then of course you're going to have to ensure that you've got the right partners to help you get these integrations updated, or maybe get things working whenever there's an update on an app or on NetSuite. So if there ever is a need for integration, you need people and platforms and connectors that allows you to do this seamlessly. Now here there are a lot of NetSuite partners, like I mentioned, already existing, providing this, but this could also be a downside when you're trying to look at an ERP to become a partner with, because the market is already taken by a lot of consulting firms that are small and that provide expertise. NetSuite has the highest level of technical integrators, but in terms of sheer availability of these integrators, it's a different topic. So ERPnext and Odoo will have more available integrators than NetSuite. In conclusion, we want to say that there's no right or wrong choice here. It will all depend on your budget, on your time frame, on the quality of your employees and their ability to adapt to a new system. Maybe also it's going to depend on your local general accounting gap it's going to depend on your need to either internalize development resources and consultants or use available consultants from consulting firms in your country or at least in your time zone. So I hope this video was useful to you. If so, don't forget to leave a like or subscribe and join me on the next video. Thank you and goodbye.